The Yuletide, a wood in Halifax, Western Yorkshire, has 3 presents amongst the other by its branch, every marked George Stubbs. Recent year George ate his Yuletide lunch in a centre for human beings, one for the celebratory time of year. At 83, he has no household leftward with his woman dead 5 years back. But on Yuletide date, Mark Richardson will driving to George's building to choose him up. Time Mark's household will be wait at household, looking striker to tucking in turkey and hack pies in George, a man Mark met fair a few months back. He's been a big year for me, says Mark, 38. In March I was done XS following 20 year in the identical location. My grandpa James has ever been my coach, and I looked up to him. He was very looking striker to vision the coffee house, Mark says. Yet, James dead 3 days following discovery date. My mum sent me the news story time I was work. He never saw the coffee house. Fair to several hours following Mark heard the news story on his grandpa, an old man came to the coffee house. He had a coffee and a house, down there were dry bread on his vaulter. I recall him though although it was packed. His behalf is George. You may as well love. George came to the coffee house once again a few days after, and the 2 men talked for above in time. It was destiny how my grandpa dead, or, on the identical date, George came in my lifetime, says Mark. Same's the beautiful old comrade, in no household, no family. George visits the coffee house each 1 week now, and Mark says he feels love their amity honors his grandpa by making which he would include made. Following all how happened to me the year, the man came in my lifetime, he's wonderful. Along they say on Halifax, and stake stories on their lives. Following listening George consumable recent Yuletide one, Mark guessed him to his building the year. Same's really lowly, and was completely undertaken ago. He blushed and told, very. How's wonderful. George says the invite came out of the dark blue. I went to the chunk room initially since I loving the location. Later our amity begun up. I wasn't waiting to be guest for Yuletide. Mark's woman and family include all met George. Mark says he is looking striker to dividing his household in George on Yuletide date. We'll see following him as a household. Same's kind of a trusty angelic creature aware of how lot human beings are one the period of year. I just desire all could do how. For George, he says newcomer Mark at household for Yuletide will do a beautiful changing. I'm all on my own now, so I'm lucky to be guest. As length as I'm capable, I'll conduct on pop-up in the coffee house. By Georgina Renard, UGC and Public News Story Crew.